Yes, welcome to another episode of Getting Stoned with your host, Mr. Stone Petoskey. Coming at you live from the third stone from the sun, Mother Earth. Yes, so very grateful to be here. Thank you so much for stopping on by. I appreciate you. I send my love and my light out to all y'all. And there's always a nice big hug. Yeah, feels so good. Feels so good. If you got someone next to you right now, be sure to give them a hug. Wrap them up in one. Nice, strong, loving, kind, beautiful hug. Full of light and peace and joy. Yes. Imagine if everybody could just get up and give each other a hug every day. Imagine. Yeah. We could stop all the fussing and the fighting. All the taking. Yeah, I'm tripping on all of it, y'all. I'm sure just like you. Everything, I don't know. You ever seen that movie Spinal Tap? And it goes to 11. It sure feels like things are turned up to 11. But hey, we get up, we give thanks, we look into the eyes of the person sitting next to us at work or at school or at church, at the grocery store. And if we could see our own soul reflected there, then we are well on our way to peace. You know, maybe that's not what the trip is here on planet Earth. As I've mentioned many times before, you can't know what the darkness is without the light. You can't know what peace is without the fight. You can't know what joy is without the sadness. And that's just how it goes. So here we are, another day to live, to love, to laugh, and to learn. So I'm going to jump on into it. This is part 2 of that talk, speech, whatever, that our brother, Mr. John Trudell, gave. Part 1 was last week, and I decided to split them up so these episodes could kind of linger around where I like them to as far as time. So without further ado, part 2, Mr. John Trudell, what it means to be human. When you vote for the lesser of two evils, I condemn you. What the fuck you doing? Actually, if you vote for either one of the evils, I condemn you. What the fuck you doing? By our acceptance of the lesser of the two evils, so to speak, we're using our intelligence to create what goes on. See, I don't vote. I never have. But I don't vote because, my reasons for not voting are very valid. See, when they created the voting system here, the democracy here, when they created it, I was the majority. Hey, look at me over here. Oh, I see you. You're the enemy. You can't play. So the little old majority rule thing came out of the smallest number of people, all right? The smallest number of people on the entire hemisphere, all right? They decided it was going to be a majority rule. There's something about it, all right? I don't trust. I inherently don't trust it. And I don't understand why you do, okay? So now that we're the smallest numerical minority on our own land base, they say, come vote. Now, so in that scenario, who's stupid? Me or them? Well, anyway, I'm bringing this up about democracy for this reason. And it's about coherency and using our intelligence. I think that every generation of human beings has a responsibility to decide how they and their immediate descendants will live with the earth. I think it's our responsibility, all right? I think it's our responsibility to do that. And I think when I look at democracy as a Native person, see, to me, it's just another chain. You know, freedom is a lie. You know, democracy, I mean, you know, think about it. Every democracy had a land-owning class. Every democracy had some form of slavery. Every democracy had some form of sexism. And I'm saying this not because I'm trying to overthrow anybody's anything, because, you know, it's not about that. It's about, oh yeah, the next generation. We live in an evolutionary reality, and maybe it needs to evolve. And maybe in the best interest of our seventh generation, it may be the enemy. But I don't mean just it by itself. I'm talking about all of the industrial faces of control systems, whether it's democracy or fascism or socialism or any one of these industrial faces and mechanisms to control the masses of people. Because every one of these systems have a small class, an ethnic rich, an industrial ruling class, and a planetary ethnic rich. And every one of these governments, no matter what they call them, they serve that master. So don't misunderstand me. This isn't about, this is about a perceptional reality here. I come from a tribe. And whatever has been going on in my evolutionary journey, I still remember that. I'm confused about a lot of things, but I remember that. I remember that when I was born, there's never been a question about the memory. But they're trying to take that memory away. But the memory of tribes, see, 100 years ago, 120 years ago, Geronimo said, the Americans, they're messed up. You know, he called them the Americans. See, so I feel a kinship to those ancestors and what they saw and what they tried to stand up against. I feel more of a kinship to them than I do to be a lapdog to this system and promote its lies. All right? Because I think it's irresponsible. And I think that when people are afraid to think about when people are afraid to think about what needs to be thought about, that's the danger of the lie. Casualty of war, afraid to think. You know, so I will say democracy because we're not supposed to say anything bad about democracy. but I'm going to say it. And I'm not saying it. I don't look at it as I'm saying something bad. I'm just saying this is what it is. You've heard the other side, so I want to say this side. Freedom of speech, you know. Let's go to freedom of speech. See, I think the part of the lie, all right, it should be about responsibility of thought, freedom of speech, responsibility of thought. Well, then take care of free speaking. But freedom of speech or freedom, it isn't so much about freedom of speech. Let me make this more, the idea of freedom. See, words, every word has its own meaning because it makes its own sound in the vibratory world, all right? So every word has its own meaning. You know, so like democracy, that noise, that sound, whatever it is, my ancestors 30 generations ago never heard that sound. That noise was never made here on this land base. It's alien to us, all right? So that, you know, democracy and whatever, all these things, away and away, he was just killing time. Or was time killing him? Which way did up go after he found down? Away in the city, it's lonesome in town. Away in the country, all is not fair. Away in the heart, he's been locked out. Away in the dream, who has he become? Away in the mind, been through the wrong. Away in the society that just can't see. Away and away, how it feels to be free. He was just killing time, or was time killing him? Which way did up go after he found down? And for us, it's about words. So I think the word freedom shouldn't be used so frivolously, you know? And I think that somewhere in the course of this, it is about responsibility. This is a word that needs to float around in our real consciousness. We need to plant that seed and let it nurture in our consciousness that life's about responsibility. Because we all synchronize closer to what it is we seek in our life. Because it's very difficult to deal with an abstraction of freedom by a people who don't know who they are or what they're saying. No offense. I'm not talking about you unless I am, right? And believe is another word. Freedom, believe, democracy, believe. See, I come from people who have beliefs. And I'm a part of those beliefs, and I respect those beliefs because they are part of my reality. But then on the other hand, every time I hear somebody say, I believe, it makes me cringe inside. No, hold on. Misuse of a word here. It's throwing the wrong sound out into the vibratory world. It should be more in harmony, all right? The sound. And I think believe might be a word that's not in harmony. Although that's the illusion that's been created that we've been led to believe. But see, I think it's better to say either I know or I don't know or I think. I think I have intelligence. I think. My intelligence has been drugged with misinformation. My intelligence has been sent on a trip. I'm tripping, so I believe. Oh yeah, so we understand it that way. friends. So it's more passive, right? Believing. And I think we should respect our intelligence, and it should always be active, you know? It should be active. If we can create our own daily insecurities and miseries and fears, we can use that same intelligence to create a whole, much better reality. See, the collective reality, all the causes and movements and the things that we feel are right and that we chase. See, that reality is not going to really change until we change this other one. And here I'm going to say this because this thing has been going on for like 3,000 years. You know, everybody has been protesting it and standing up to it, see? But as it encompasses, as it gets and alters our perception of self and reality, the same old struggles come, see? It's just a new generation saying new words, dancing to new music, to new instruments. But it's the same old thing. Check out a little bit of Paris or France in 1430. Check that place out, man. All right. It's the same thing. Check out the rise of industrial civilization or the Industrial Revolution in America in the 1800s. Same thing. So the same struggle by the human beings to just try to stay alive, all right, has been going on for a long time. So what I'm saying, what I mean is like it isn't that we haven't been trying for such a long time. We've been trying to write a thing to make it more ride the balance. So I think maybe what we should consider really needs to consider that the synchronization is the being. It's us who are being mined. So we need to interfere with the mining process. So we need to become as clear as we can. You know, it's our responsibility. There are no rights and no freedoms without responsibility. I guarantee it. It's about responsibility, and that's not to be afraid of the word. See, I think responsibility, I think that's the liberator's word, right? If you want to be free, then be responsible. If you want to be free, then be responsible. I think that's the liberator's word. Because then we are taking direct action with our intelligence. Because, see, there is not anything wrong with us. I mean, how we perceive reality. But from this moralistic thing, there's not something wrong with us. We really need to be real to ourselves. We will get closer to synchronizing our balance. The first thing is we need to be real to ourselves. We need to be able to face ourselves. Because if we can't face ourselves, then, you know, we should think about that. Because the other thing is, whoever it is, the coming generations, the creator, the whoever it is, that if we're not willing to face ourselves, then in some kind of way we diminish our respect for them. Because we are here to be real. But if we would look at ourselves clearly, the Navajo have a way of saying, I'm going to the fourth mind, which means to look at everything. But you rise out of it. You look at it from outside, from the top, from the bottom, all the way around from the inside. You look at it from under it. You look at it, that thing for it, every way that you can, and you see it for what it is. And then you act. See, and we need to understand to do that without judgment. It's not our responsibility or our right to judge. You can judge nothing without judging yourself. It's just that reality, you know, so what's the trip, you know? And it's already been determined that most of us, we've judged ourselves negatively through our fears and our doubts and our insecurities. So let's look at that thing about judgment. It's not our responsibility to see clearly and learn from what we see. Learn from our clarity and our coherency. That is our responsibility. It is not our responsibility to judge and condemn. So in order to be real to ourselves, you know, we've got to be careful about self-rationalization and justification and these little things that pop up disguised as something else. We need to be real to ourselves. And if in our reality there is shameful things, all right, then don't lie to yourself about it. Because a shameful thing isn't necessarily really a shameful thing. It's how we perceive. But if there are, I'll put it this way, if there are things in our reality that we're not comfortable with, all right, then we should see it for what it is without judgment. And if we can't live with it, it will evolve out of our behavior pattern, you know? And if it bothers us, but we can live with it, then it'll stay. And the things that we do good on the other end, the things that we perceive from that perception, see, everything should be seen exactly for what it is. Because it's also time to turn to another thing that goes back into the spiritual reality that's been altered by the religious reality. And that reality is, see, life needs to be approached, I think. You see, there's too much pride. See, and to me, I see pride the way I see pride in some ways used to think pride is something I'm proud of you. See, I think it's something you give, but it's not something you take. Because every time I have ever seen anyone take pride, they take too damn much of it and they fuck the thing up. I've seen it organizationally, I've seen it individually. I've been the player, all right? So I think you know maybe and life is really more about humility. See, we come from an ancestral past, the part of the genetic memory, see, where humility was connected to our participation in reality, and we were grateful and we were thankful. See, so many times, again, out of using the word as a habit, many times, all right, when we say I'm proud, really we're happy. And wouldn't it be more clear to say that? I'm happy, or I'm glad, or I appreciate it. But wouldn't these things that come from the being, the pride comes from the human, but these things come from the being. Because I mean, it's these types of alterations that were done to us, right? They keep us from synchronizing. And I don't know, you know, there is no answer. The only answer is that we have the intelligence and the responsibility and the ability, all right, to create the solutions to the problem that we're confronted with. Because there are no solutions now. I guarantee you. You can deal with the lesser of two evils, but there is no political solution. And I think you know that. I think everyone knows that, right? But they just feel powerless to do this, so they want to avoid dealing with that reality. And I'm saying, hey, let's look at reality and deal with reality. I've got intelligence. I accept the challenge. I have the ability. This is why I was given it. So there are some miscalculations in me. I kind of messed up a few times along the way. So what? I learned from it. It's part of who I am, right? But that doesn't mean the coherent parts and the clear parts aren't clear and aren't coherent. Because they try, somehow in some subtle way, it's been created into the human's being's mind that, see, you've got to be the perfect person in order to get it done. But at the same time, all right, nothing's perfect. And we all know that and say it. This is like a contradiction. So just accept ourselves for who we are and show respect to our Creator, all right? By using the gifts that the Creator gave to us. And I'm not trying to get anyone, trying to get you to believe me or not believe me or any of that, okay? Because it's really about thinking, The objective is about thinking. Because our relationship to power, I'm going to start to wind out of here, but our relationship to power is connected in our relationship to clear, coherent use of our intelligence. All right? You have some rain here and some wind, okay? So let's look at us. Every human being is a raindrop. All right? And when enough of the raindrops become clear and coherent, they then become the power of the storm that the existing reality has to endure, and it can't arrest it, indict it, or change it. It has to deal with it in a realistic way. Well, maybe human consciousness, maybe we're all snowflakes of raindrops, or we're all pieces of little tremble. We're little tremblers in the earth, right? Maybe we're all part of that sea, and when we become clear with our coherence, see, then this collective thing happens, and you have power. And on the way to that power is the power that we connect to as we live our lives. Because I'm telling you, how many of you feel powerless to deal with your life? And I'm telling you, if there's anybody in here that feels powerless to deal with your life, don't take 2 aspirin. For the next generation that's coming, I think an understanding about the value and the reality of the intelligence of our intelligence, it's very crucial that they have that understanding to make it through this. Because we're being mined at a very rapid rate. And I think it's very crucial to the continuation of the living species, not the humanoid species. I mean living species. So it's got to be put into the intelligence for them to have an understanding, the next generations. But the only way we can do it is if we can tell it to them. I mean, we can say it to them, but we have to show it to them. Because we are part of an evolutionary reality, and we will influence the evolution. We will, because our intelligence is always active. So it's just about taking responsibility. But we will influence the evolutionary reality, and we can influence the evolutionary reality out of a base of loss and frustration and self-judgment and things that's been going on for the last 300 or 400 years here, which has led to this situation. Or we can use some clarity and coherence and influence the evolutionary reality in a more clear and coherent way. Every struggle that we must engage with, whether it's political or economic or social, all these struggles are necessary, all right, to keep the circulation going. The other part of that reality is we have to outthink what it is that we're challenged by, or that oppresses us, or does whatever it is. We have to outthink it. It's that simple. The first act of being free and liberation, all right, is the act of taking our intelligence back, taking our imagination back, our ability to think. That's the first act of liberation. It's the very first act of conscious liberation. The first steps towards respect for the Creator is understanding that we have that intelligence, and doing the second act, it's our intelligence. And for the next generation, we have a responsibility to direct as much intelligence into that as we can. Because this thing about life and death, this techno-logic reality has been around for 3,000 or 4,000 years. But its whole reality is based upon death. So therefore, at some point, it must die. Our whole objective as human beings is to stay alive. Do you get it? I mean, really alive, not surviving and existing. I'm talking about alive. Connecting to life and living. See, we have to outlast it because we can't outfight it. Because its violence and its aggressive mindset, all right, is beyond parallel. But that doesn't mean that it's powerful. That just means that it's violent and it's aggressive and it's without parallel. And you better be damned careful of it. But that's what that means about power. Our relationship to clarity and coherence and the use of our intelligence is our relationship to power. And we can outthink it. Simple math, it's a mathematical thing. In the authoritarian state system, only X amount of people are given permission to think, okay? So at some point, theoretically, we will out-surround them. We will just do what is necessary to get there. Your descendants and my descendants depend upon us, all right, to keep the reality of the living alive. And we are going to influence the outcome no matter what we do. So what I'm talking about is, let's take some responsibility, all right? And let's influence it in a more clear and coherent way. Outthink them. Trust ourselves and our ability to think. And each and every one of us was given just as much intelligence as we need. It's not a contest. I'm going to close now. And I thank you for being here and getting whatever you got out of this, all right? I'm not responsible, I'm just this rag doll, and there are those entities just here. I want to vent today, so here, get him. Raven brought beaded serpent and the Alaskan thunder. Reality is yet to come. Good thoughts are good way life. Wrapped in the universe, the unborn sleep in dream time. Day and the sun is on its way. Think good thoughts. Thoughts of lightened mind. Dream dreams dreaming brings. Sense rush of new found find. View or harmony sing. Follow the sky into the blue. You are part sky. Sky is part you. There are stars that bring the night. There are thoughts to bring clear sight. Thinking good makes for strong heart. Nourishment for spirit and soul. A good path, a good way to give. Belief creates what we believe. Good words, good thoughts, good actions. A way human beings live. Raven brought beaded serpent in the Alaskan thunder. And I thank you for being here. Mr. John Trudell, thank you, my brother. I feel you. I feel you in my heart. I feel you in my soul. I appreciate everything you gave while you were here in your earthly form. And I know that you are resting in peace, my man. So check out John Trudell. There's a documentary about him. It's outstanding. He lived a hell of a life, man. My brother, he went through a whole lot, but he always continued to put his good vibes out there, to encourage each and every one of us to be a clear, coherent intelligent human being who takes responsibility, who takes action based on that responsibility, who is a raindrop. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Trudell. Whew. I wrote a song a few years back called Raindrop, and I don't know. I'm not going to go digging for it. I can't remember all the words off the top of my head, but if you go look up my albums on one of them streaming services out there, you can find that song. Each of us is a raindrop. All right, man. Let's do another song. It's not that one. It's a Dave Matthews song. Grave Digger. Cyrus Jones, 1810, 1913. Grandchildren believe you could live to 103. 103's forever when you're just a little kid, so Cyrus Jones forever. Grave digger, when you dig my grave, make it shallow so that I can feel rain. Grave digger, Muriel Stonewall, 1903, 1954. Lost both of her babies in the Second Great War. You should never have to watch your children, Lord, into the ground. I mean, you should never have to bury your own baby. Grave digger, when you dig my grave, make it shallow so that I can feel the rain. Grave digger, ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy, ashes to ashes. We all fall down. Grave digger, little Mikey Carson, 67 to 75, he rode his bike like a devil till the day died. When he grows up, he wants to be Mr. Vertigo on a flying trapeze. 1890, I'm only 92. Grave digger, when you dig my grave, make it shallow so that I I can feel the rain, so that I can feel the rain. Breathe. Dig out. Whew. Yeah. Hell of a song there, Dave. Thank you so much for writing that one and for all the incredible music you and your band has gifted each of us with. And thank you all for stopping on by and giving this show a listen. I appreciate you. Props one more time to Mr. John Trudell, y'all. That brother is no fucking joke. Love that brother. Until next time. This is Stone Petoskey saying, peace.